This is from Pliny the Elder's Natural History, Volume 4. And we get to chapter 42 here. And I'm just going to read it out for all those listening by podcast. Asparagus is said to be extreme. Oh, a little bit of context. Professor Ahuvia, when did Pliny the Elder live?
1st century CE. He's in the Roman Empire, and he's known for writing this excellent natural history, which talks about, medicinal goods, agricultural, trivial knowledge. So yeah, it's a very helpful source for us here.
Wonderful. Yeah. And so this is, it's contemporary with the Tanaim. It's part of their world.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So asparagus is said to be extremely wholesome as an aliment to the stomach. With the addition of cumin, it dispels flatulency of the stomach and colon. It sharpens the eyesight also, acts as a mild aperient upon the stomach, and boiled with wine is good for pains in the chest and spine and diseases of the intestines. For pains of the loins and kidneys, asparagus seed is administered in doses of 3 aboli, taken with an equal proportion of cumin seed. It acts as an aphrodisiac and as an extremely useful diuretic, except that it has a tendency to ulcerate the bladder. The root, also pounded and taken in white wine, is highly extolled by some writers as having the effect of disengaging calculi and of soothing pains in the loins and kidneys. There are some persons, too, who administer this root with sweet wine for pains in the uterus. Boiled in vinegar, the root is very beneficial in cases of elephantiasis. It is said that if a person is rubbed with asparagus beaten up in oil, he will never be stung by bees.
Whoa.
Yes. Just a little bit further, we have this Corda libicum or orminum. Wild asparagus is by some persons called Corda, by others libicum, and by the people of Attica, orminus, etc., etc., etc. But in case of hematuria, Chrysippus recommends a mixture of asparagus, parsley, and cumin seed to be given to the patient every 5 days in doses of 3 aboli, mixed with 2 theathi of wine. He says, however, that though employed this way, it is a good diuretic. It is bad for dropsy and acts as an anti-aphrodisiac, and that is injurious to the bladder unless it is boiled first, etc. The juice of the root boiled in wine kept in the mouth is an effectual cure for toothache. So this was consumed often frequently mixed with wine or even vinegar, which is also effectively a wine product. So in all these cases, asparagus was frequently mixed with wine in a quasi-medicinal fashion. So it seems that this is part of the rabbi's world. Pretty crazy.
Did you catch that they're also boiling wine? Actually,
that.
Right, that they're boiling the asparagus, where they're putting the asparagus in boiled wine. So I actually I think this is the first time I'm seeing people talking about drinking boiled wine, which this would be like kind of important for your podcast.
Yeah.
Or the Romans drinking boiled wine for medicinal purposes only.
Yeah, right. It's injurious to the bladder unless it is boiled first. You have that.
Yeah, if you go farther up, it was mentioned earlier as well.
Oh, the first paragraph.
So, yeah, this is so fascinating. Yeah, and right here, so it sharpens the eyesight, right? And then boiled with wine, it's good for pains in the chest and spine. So
Yeah.
boiling asparagus with wine. You heard it here first.
Yeah, and which makes it all the more sense as far as going back to our very first sort of opening for the whole sugya, the whole discussion about it being good for the eyes, it being good for the heart, whatever that means, and also
the entire body.
Well, it's good for
one who's accustomed to it.
For the one-offs, it's good for your intestines, good for the eyes, it's good for, I don't know, your heart. I don't know what your heart means. And then, of course, if it can have other good stuff. And then, of course, we see these other things. It's good for the hemorrhoids, intestines, head, or heart, eye, spleen, or whatever. So, yeah. So from that Pliny the Elder text, it's good for all these things. And they're mixing it with wine.